Sisters, good afternoon. Margaret Mayce, who's right there on the screen with me, is in Rome. This is Monday morning, April 4th. Well, for Margaret, it's early Monday evening. She's 6 hours later than we are. But we take this opportunity today, Margaret and I will chat a little to get from Margaret's perspective and from the perspective of Dominican Sisters International, another insight into the tragedy that is happening in Ukraine and with the Dominican congregations in that part of Europe who have been able to offer assistance and continue to do so. Probably about 2 weeks ago, we received, and it was communicated in the Preaching Continues, letters from some of the prioresses or other sisters in that part of Europe. And so, Margaret, maybe what you could do to help us, first of all, I'm not going to hold it up because it may not show, but in elementary school, I must have slept all during geography. So I've been studying the map of Europe. You don't have to talk about that, but I've been studying that to try and situate for myself what I hear on the news and where the tragic events are occurring. But maybe you could speak to us just a little bit about the congregation. They are the Dominican Sisters of Blessed Imelda. That's a Slovak congregation. And I know from one of the letters that Sister Carol has said they have been in Ukraine for 30 years. So whatever you can share with us, just to give us some insights.
Thank you, Diane. And thank you for this opportunity to share with the sisters. The congregation of Blessed Imelda, the Slovakian congregation, has done basically catechetical work in a small village in Ukraine. And a number of their sisters have returned to to Slovakia. But one or two of them remains in Ukraine. They're there, they're still doing outreach for the people. They're doing their catechetical work, and they're providing shelter for people who've found it necessary to leave their homes. The sisters who were in Ukraine and returned to Slovakia go to the border every day and try to accompany as many people as they can into Slovakia and provide them with some kind of respite and shelter, at least on a temporary basis while they're in Slovakia. There are a number of community houses, and those houses have opened their doors to the refugees. And you probably would know that most of the refugees are women and children because the men have been asked to stay behind to take up arms and defend the country. So the overwhelming number of these refugees are women and children. And I would also like to add that we did have sisters in Ukraine. We had another congregation from Spain. They were in Kyiv, the capital, but they left. They're older women. So they found their way to Poland, and then from Poland, they were evacuated to Madrid. But now that they're in Spain, somehow they're getting people who were in their area of ministry in Kyiv into Spain. So they've set up a refugee community in part of Spain called Asturias. So then again, that's mostly women and children. And the sisters in Spain have received an incredible amount of money from donations. And they're sharing some of that money with their contacts in Kyiv, in the Ukraine, to provide assistance for people who are not able to get out. So I think it's important for us to know that all of our sisters in that part of the world, the sisters who are in Poland, in Hungary, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, and even our sisters in Latvia up in the Baltic region, they've all opened their homes and they're taking in these women and children who literally arrive with the clothing they have on their backs.
Yes, Margaret, as you say that, the pictures when either on the regular news or anyone watching CNN, that's what we see, just droves of mothers with one suitcase, either a child in their arms or a child walking with them with another small suitcase. And one of the things that was in the letter from, I'm looking at it now, from Sister Carola, she mentions the fact that the stress, which we can imagine but can't imagine, the stress that these mothers are under, and the question of language also, both for the children and for their parents, for their mothers. So there are just so many ramifications of this, and the hours that they travel, the hours that they wait. It's hard to imagine how that weighs upon them and how they bring that with them.
Yeah. I was speaking with a sister in Spain this morning, and she has regular contact with the sisters who are working with refugees from Ukraine. And she said that they have a great need for professional psychologists for precisely that reason.
Yeah.
The stress and the level of disorientation in people is unlike anything we could imagine. So she mentioned and this is not just true in Spain, it's true everywhere. The other issue that is becoming more and more apparent is the issue of human trafficking. And just this morning in conversation with the sister from Spain, she said the government, the church, and a number of non-governmental organizations have been searching for the past 2 days for 30 unaccompanied children. They have no idea where these children are. They've heard hearsay about some individuals who offered to help them. So they've checked flights, they've checked boats, they're checking everywhere they can think of to try to find these children. But their fear is that they've fallen into the hand of traffickers. So this is something, it's always been a problem, but this is the enormity of human trafficking is just going to skyrocket now because you have the most vulnerable people leaving the Ukraine and seeking help. And when you're that disoriented, you'll take help from anybody who offers it to you without checking their credentials.
Sure.
So this is another huge problem that I'm not sure that we're hearing too much of that in the news. But it would be good for you to know that so that you can keep it in prayer and keep it close to your hearts.
Yeah, I think you would know this, that what we hear and see in the news are the cities that have been bombed, hospitals, clinics. We see interviews now more with medical personnel, how they're trying to get supplies to people. Interviews with people who have emerged from their basements after a week or two. And that probably fills most of our news, in addition to retired military personnel with a map in front of them and talking about what is happening or what might happen. But I think it's true, as you say, there are so many urgent stories connected with this, but we don't always hear all of that.
Yeah. Another point that I think would be good for you to know, there's been very strong cooperation on the part of organizations such as Caritas International,
Mm-hmm.
The International Red Cross, and different non-governmental organizations and social service agencies within European countries. And they're trying to work together to provide the refugee population with everything that they need. So the bishops' conferences in Europe, the conferences of religious in Europe, are really asking men's and women's religious congregations to work in concert with Caritas, the Red Cross, and other agencies in their countries. There's great concern that individuals with all good intentions will go and bring refugees, but they won't be able to provide them with everything that they're going to need to really begin life in a new country. So there's a big push in Europe to do things in the most coordinated way possible. So they've asked religious congregations, for instance, if they have empty houses, empty schools, if they have rooms in their convents, to let a group like Caritas know. So then Caritas can work with them to make sure that that space is used in the best possible way. And that people aren't just, forgive me for saying this, people aren't just dumped there, but they're placed there, making sure that they have a fair chance at all the support systems that they need. Healthcare, education, language, counseling, employment. So this is a refugee situation in Europe, the likes of which hasn't been seen since World War II.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get worse. So a concerted effort is really very important.
Margaret, I'm very grateful, and I'm glad that we were able to coordinate our time with your time so that you could do this. And as I'm listening to you, maybe as obviously this is not going to have any simple ending or quick ending. And so maybe at some point, either later in the month or early May, we could do this again. And this would be of great help to us. And as I'm trying to get my phone to stop here, as we talk, I do just want to say how grateful we are and proud of you with the work that you do at Dominican Sisters International. When you went in the fall of 2019, who knew that a pandemic was going to strike within several months? And so the whole aspect of your role and your position has changed, but we know all the ways you have reached out and continue to do so. So just know we're proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Marg. Okay, I'll let you know how this goes, all right?
Okay, very good.
Good. We'll talk again. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.